Entering the room at this time is the Eagle staff. The colors of Peguis First Nation. The color of yellow representing the sky world, the sun. The green representing the grass, Mother Earth. The color blue representing all of the waters. And the red circle in between all those levels represent the people, representing our nation, and the people of Peguis, of the Anishinaabe nation. We have brought in our flags and our people, our nation is standing before us. At the heart of it is our drum, the Mashomas Dewe gun, and our pipes, our knowledge keepers, our elders. As we recognize our past, we also recognize our future. As today is a good day in our history, for today we make history. Not only with the provincial government, but the Canadian government and this great place called Canada, to reunite and give back to us what is rightfully ours. Oh, ahoy! Beautiful. Victory time. It's a song of celebration. We have passed through the darkness and we have come into the light. We have defeated what was before us. We celebrate life. We celebrate what we have gone through. Even though it was a struggle, we are still here. We as Anishinaabe, as a nation, as a country, as a people, we are alive. So we dance and we lift our heads up. Aha! Hey! Yeah! Yeah! Aha! Dance hard, dancers! Yeah!
Of course, I'd like to acknowledge everybody that's here to be with us on this very historical day. It wasn't easy to get to where we are right now today. It took a lot of talking, a lot of convincing, and a lot of work. But here they all are today at this moment. And all I ever wanted to do was to inspire them and encourage them to realize that we're faced with much more than we all realize when it comes to the things that affect us in the world. And it's up to us as the people to make those changes for the better, for the betterment of everything. And that means stepping outside the box. That means going into the darkness, going into the unknown. So I knew it wouldn't be easy for that relationship to get off on the right foot. But now it's here. Now the moment's here. And now it's time for us. Now it's time for everybody to shine. You know, that system that took our children away, kept the families divided, that's all changed now. That's all gone now because of the hard work that these people did, created that new legislation which will assure that that will never happen to our children again.
You know, this time our people have been just praying and dancing so hard in the ceremonies and making all the offerings and doing that on behalf of all of our people. on behalf of all of our communities because of love, because we want something better for the future of our children. And I really felt that too, when I saw the children, because isn't that what we're all doing? Isn't that what we all want, is for things to get better for our children? And if our children are, raised by healed parents and grandparents, they're going to be raised with love and everything that's good, in that freedom to just let their spirits just soar. And can you imagine what kind of communities we'll have then, when our children are raised in that way with nothing but love, and go ahead and do whatever you want? Because Lord knows we've been stifled so much growing up because of all of the things that have happened to us. But now once we get our healing, watch out. The world needs our people. So with that, I just say miigwech and congratulations for this day. Oh.
Turn to the south. How Negabian to the west. Kiwidno, the north.
I just want to give thanks, for the gathering today. And if there's, I guess maybe sum it up in one word, but it's probably a few words. It's about damn time, for us to get back our people, our children, our families in control of that. We have to be bold and stand up for ourselves and do what we think is right, because nobody else can do that for us. And that's something that, I give thanks for, because I wouldn't have the opportunity if I wasn't in this role. And obviously with our council, supportive of moving forward, and our board of directors, they're doing a lot of good work, and we continue to support them. And I give thanks for that. And also our executive director, Clem. I know at one time we made changes, and she was brought in to help us. And that's what those positive changes and decisions result in. Don't be afraid to make those changes. It's not personal. It's to do what's right and how to get there quick. And I know this process wasn't quick, but we are here now, the very first in Manitoba, to undertake legislation in Honoring Our Children and Families Act. And that's something, is long overdue. That's why I say it's about damn time, because there's many other things I can say as First Nations people that we need to achieve. And this was, for me, one of the major steps, is getting back our children and our families, because that's our future going forward. And today, it's a very good path that we're going on. Miigwech.
First of all, I want to acknowledge the drum. We have the honor of having the drum at these meetings we've had over the last 2 years with the province and the feds, and it always leads us in the right direction. And we have Sunman there with us that gives us his words of inspiration. So I'm thankful for that, miigwech. And the prayers that were said today, what a day. It feels good. It's a good day today. I had this motion in me that was to be shy, but I can't keep it in anymore. I'm excited for today. It's long overdue, like Chief said. You know, I want to thank Clem, Earl. You guys have done a hell of a job with your team, the board, Chief and Council, ministers, Premier, Miigwech. It's a good day. I have this, it's lifted off me now. You know, I feel like we're there. The stigma will go away from CFS. It's not there to break apart families. It's there to keep families together. Long overdue.
I'm just so grateful for this day. And I'm really feeling all the people. I want to share a story, what brought me to this place. All my life I was sort of like taking care of children. I babysat them, the neighbors' kids, my relatives' children. And also I'm a residential school survivor, and I felt the loneliness there. But when I went back home, I returned to my community, and my children always played with kids in the community, and I always told them, play with whoever you want, you know, because sometimes when you move into a community, you're told, don't play with this one, don't talk to this one, don't, you know. And I didn't allow those things to influence my judgment. I'll decide who my friends are going to be. And allowed my children to have whatever friends they wanted. So one day they brought this little boy home. Wasn't a little boy, he would be probably 15 years old. And I hadn't seen him in the community before, so I asked him, you're new, I haven't seen you, where are you from? And he said, I'm from Peguis, but I don't live here. I'm a foster child. And I've always wondered, you know, and I'm sure everybody has, what is it like to be in care? What is it like to be taken from your family and given to someone else to look after you? And he said, it's the loneliest life on earth. He said, because you don't feel loved and you're passed around from one family to the next, and you just don't feel like you belong anywhere. And when I heard those words, I could relate, because when I was in residential school, all I wanted was to go home to my family and my community. And so I could relate to what he says, but I didn't know what to do about it. And when Chief Louis was a leader, he came and he approached and asked me if I would sit on the board for CFS, and I said no, because I wanted no part of removing children from their families, because I thought that's all it was. And so he left, and he came a second time, and he said, I can't find anyone. Would you please consider it? And I put myself in my leader's position, and I thought, you know, what would it be like for me as a leader if I approached and asked for help and no one would help? You know, how would I feel? So I said, okay, I'll do it. And I've been here ever since then, you know, with a constant reminder of that child's words ringing in my head. You know, how are we going to fix that? And that's been our goal. That's been our the drive that we had, you know. And the way to do that is for us to do things the way that our people do things. So that meant changing the rules, right? So that's what we did, and it wasn't easy. And this new legislation will allow us as the Red people, as our Aboriginal people, to take those people and pick them up and lift them up and make them proud and to walk strong in the beliefs that we have and are willing to share with them. We have work and we have lots of work to do, and we have to do it together. There's no other way. It's not the responsibility of CFS. It's not the responsibility of Chief and Council. It's not the responsibility of Jordan's principal. It's not the responsibility of the Peguis school. It's the responsibility of every person on Peguis First Nation. That's who has to step up now. All we did was bring the resources that we need in order to do that. So thank you all for being here, and thanks for listening, and have a really, really good day, because I know I am. Miigwech.
I want to acknowledge, our ancestors. And they called, and they continue to call upon us. Get up, stand up, work for us. Work for Jimani too. Work for our children. And that's all it's ever been about, is our children. Taking back our inherent right, taking back our right to raise our children, our right to stand beside each other, our right to pick each other up when we fall. Gitchimegwich, Chakazase Ma, Jimanitu, for all the grandmothers and the grandfathers that sit here and their grandparents before them that have waited far too long for us to stand here today. I acknowledge our leadership. I acknowledge our board of directors. I acknowledge the staff, the warriors, the buffalo that stand on the front line, holding, praying for our families, praying for that healing, walking our people to the water. That's all we can do, is walk to the water with you. And we will stand as one, as a nation. This document will be available for every member. The funding agreement will be available for every member. We will stand in truth. If we want to heal as a people, we need to stand in truth. So I say, Gitchimegwich, we will lift up our children and we will walk with you. I want to thank Earl Stevenson, our in-house counsel, the one-man band, who wrote this legislation, who danced and who reached out to Spirit, who went and gave of himself, through ceremony, to ensure that everything was taken into account for our people. No one is left out. No one. No one will ever be denied the truth. No one. So with that, I also acknowledge our Chief Financial Officer, Bev Stranger, Barry Mann, and all the managers, that threw on those buffalo rugs and that continued to push. The ones before us that kicked those doors down. The ones still with us. Miigwech.
Today is about making sure that families have the tools they need to regain the skills that they may have lost because it was a policy of a colonial country to undermine parenting. It was a policy of a colonial country to divide families. Today changes that. Today means that the care and control of children and families, the prevention that means families have what they need to stay together and to try again and to work again together, those tools are there. Today is a powerful day. It's not just about the kids we see here today. It's not about the kids that are 14 and 15 and 20 that are lost, as Elder Louise says. It's about their children and their children's children. It's about a new way of thinking about how to help people stay together. It's about being wrapped up in community. It's about staying strong to ceremony and family and culture and traditions. And I'm just so honored to be able to be here today, to sign this agreement with you, to be part of history. As so many people have said, this is a new path. So, as Minister of Indigenous Services and a representative of the federal government, which I wear with a heavy heart some days, knowing what this federal government, this government of Canada, has intentionally done to Indigenous people over the years, this is a true honor for me to be part of a new leaf, to be part of a federal government who's living up to those treaties that you have all referenced in your speeches today. We have not been a good partner, but we are becoming a good partner. And I hope that you'll hold our hands on that journey. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
I just want to thank everyone who was involved in the grand opening. Just such an incredible celebration as we're coming in here, and a reminder, just seeing all of those children there, what this is really all about. And so I'm just so honored to be here and be a part of this very historic day. I want to thank Chief Hudson, as well as Councillor Favell as well, for all of the incredible work that you have done. You brought us to this historic day for the province of Manitoba, and we are so proud to be up here sitting with you side by side, along with the federal government and everyone who is here today. This is a celebration. This is about making sure your kids stay with you at Peguis First Nation. Again, it is just such an honor for us to be here. I believe this is the first agreement to be signed in the province of Manitoba. It's fitting that it's Peguis First Nation. Thank you to every single one of you who's been integral in making this happen today. We, as a government, Rochelle and Eileen and I, are just so honored to be here with each and every one of you on this very historic day. Thank you so much.
I'm just humbled to be here with all of you. Chief Hudson, congratulations to you and your entire team. It has been a really long journey to get to this point, and we've all just taken many, many moments so far this morning, and many more to come throughout the day, to really stand in awe of what today means and what the future means. And watching as the dancers came in here, and I know that Sunman McCorrister, he'd expressed how he was overcome with emotion when he looked at that little girl dancer. What a beautiful dancer she is. And I too was overstruck with emotion when I looked at her and I saw my own grandson. My grandson is Indigenous. He has a beautiful Indigenous grandmother who was victimized by the child welfare system when she was a newborn baby, apprehended from her family in the 60s. And I look at my grandson now, and that cycle, it is broken. He has a better future. And that is my wish for all of you. That is my wish for your community, for your nation, and for all your children, to break that cycle and have a new beginning. So it is a real honor to be here with you. Thank you. Miigwech.
I want to call forward to sit at the front table Chief Glenn Hudson, representing Peguis Nation, representing our agency, Peguis Child and Family Services, Louise McCorster, the chairman. From Canada, Minister Patty Hadu, Manitoba Premier Heather Stephenson, and Minister Rochelle Squires to come and sit at the head table. So at this time, I would ask Loud Eagle to sing one song. One song to honor this document and this arrangements, that these pipes witness this, that we will care for our own. We will determine how that will be from this day forward. How, Nagamun? Ho, miigwech. At this time, if there's any young children, I would ask them to come stand on each side of these leaders.
So we have two documents that are being signed today. The main document is the coordination agreement, which is signed by all four parties, Peguis First Nation, Peguis Child and Family Services, Manitoba, and Canada. And then we have an additional document that also is being signed amongst three parties. It's the Canada Fiscal Agreement. It's going to be signed by Peguis First Nation, Peguis Child and Family Services, and Canada. So those two documents will be signed by those three parties. Manitoba will only be signing the coordination agreement as a party to that agreement itself. So I'm going to ask that each of the representatives open up the document. There's a signature page on each of these documents. We're going to have 5 documents signed. 4 documents that are going to be signed. Each party can take back their own bound document. And then we're going to have a 5th loose document that we're going to be signing by all parties for ensuring that we can PDF the document and be sharing that on our respective websites. So if we can have each leader pick up the pen and sign at their assigned signature line, and then look at the cameras.
It's a beautiful day.
These are all signed, so I think we're set. Little girls, smile. We have just one here. One left for me? Not for you.
It's an agreement for
Okay.
coordinating services and also for funding those services.
There's one missing.
Child and Family Services.
There we go.
You guys don't need to sign this one, but this is the one to sign.
Congratulations to each of the parties on signing these documents. It's a new day.
One more to sign, and it will be complete. We want to thank our chairman of the board that's been there since conception. We came from a dilapidated building, a hospital that was built in the early 30s, and they made a go of it. They were the second community that had its own mandate, first in Manitoba. Today they are the first. We are the first community to have our own law. At this time, I would welcome Mr. Earl Stevenson to give you the details of why it's so important and how it's going to affect our people.
Thank you for sharing this human experience with us. A beautiful day. I'm not going to talk about the agreements per se, but what I'm going to say is that this is a reflection of intergenerational accountability. We're accountable to those ancestors that have gone on before us, and we're accountable to those yet to arrive. So those ahead of us that are yet to arrive, we have to make those decisions on their behalf with 7 generations in mind. That's the accountability we have intergenerationally for those yet unborn. Our ancestors left us with many teachings. We have to follow those teachings. We have to adhere to those teachings. What they shared with us is sacred law, inherent law, indivisible, something that is always carried with us. We can't forget that. We have to maintain our accountability to those teachings and to our ancestors. That's what these documents do. They give us the resources so that we can be accountable to our ancestors, accountable to those yet unborn, and accountable to those people with us here today. The Canada funding agreement is for 3 years, starting this fiscal year, this current fiscal year. And through the course of negotiations, we arrived at our final numbers just this past weekend. So we were at the very, very last minute, coming together with Canada on our financial numbers. And I've been asked to inform that the value of the agreement over these 3 years is coming in at $319 million. This is to provide all aspects of child and family service delivery. These services are to be made available for our members wherever they reside nationally. So I want to thank our team. I want to thank Canada. I want to thank Manitoba. I want to thank Chief and Council for their dedication to this work. And I think the resources and the capacity that can flow from this funding will allow us to do that great work that we need to do to make our communities healthier, to make our communities stronger. Miigwech.
Now, we'll be retiring and closing up that circle where everything took place.
children and families naturally want to be together. Moms want to be with their children, probably more than anything else, and children want to be with their moms and dads more than anything else. And so this work is about restoring care and control of children to the community, to Peguis First Nation and Peguis Child and Family Services, who will now have not just the authority, but the tools and the financial resources to be able to focus on keeping families together instead of a historical child welfare system that really removal was often one of the first actions that happened. The federal Liberal government had a vision of this, number of years ago. It took a while for the legislation to go through, but it really, with the leadership of First Nations across the country, we did arrive at a place where we now have this new law that enables exactly those actions. Combined with that, there's a financial commitment of the federal government to make sure that the tools are there so Child and Family Services can do a good job. Because, of course, we know that many children were apprehended because of poverty reasons, lack of food, inadequate housing, the inability to care for children as a result of poverty. Those are not good reasons to remove a child. Instead, now with the enabling legislation and the financial resources, families will have the tools they need to stay together.
It's been a very emotional day, a very historic day, and it's such a humbling and honoring opportunity for me to be here as a minister to sign in this historic trilateral agreement with Peguis First Nation and Canada and Manitoba to ensure that all Peguis children are now under the authority of Peguis First Nation. We have several other Indigenous governing bodies who have come forward, who have expressed interest in moving forward in the same direction in exercising their jurisdiction and repatriating their children. So Indigenous governing bodies representing nearly 70% of all the Indigenous CFS agencies are moving forward in this direction, and we're really looking forward to working with them as a province to ensure that the child welfare system is truly transformed.
Well, today is a culmination of a lot of effort over the last 30 plus years. We were one of the first organizations, the first, to undertake working in the child and family services system with the province and the federal government, and implementing CFS within our reserves and community. But today we've taken over the legislation, taken over the law in terms of honoring our children and families under the C-92 legislation. And it's a historic day. It's so important for that because our history has been tainted with issues involving our children and families and communities. That is something that we've corrected today. We've taken back that control. We've taken back that responsibility, which we have always stated that it is our responsibility, it is our control. And finally, both levels of government, federal and provincial, have honored that. And it's a reflection of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, one of the recommendations as far as taking back control of our children and families. Now we have the resources to do it, and we do it our way. Not anybody's way. Nobody's being parachuted in to offer solutions. We're going to find the solutions within our community and our people. So that's something that we're very proud of today.
I think that this day represents what it means to have inherent jurisdiction over child and family services. This is a nation that's taken responsibility for caring for their children. And it means that kids will be cared for in their community, by their community, and they'll grow up knowing that, and that's really special. I think that Peguis First Nation is a leader, and they're showing us that this can be done, that First Nations and Indigenous governments across the country can follow suit. I think important for the children of tomorrow to know that their community led the way in Manitoba, that they really created history today, and that the leaders in this room will pass on that responsibility to them when they grow up, and it will be their turn to be leaders and to grow and to do great things for their community members.
As a community member, today is historic. It's something that's so monumental to me for our children. for our community, but not only that, but as a First Nations person as a whole. I think this is just the beginning of what's to come. I'm proud to be from Peguis and, you know, be able to break those barriers and be part of such a strong team with such good leadership, to be able to do that, and to be able to be present, to have my family, my daughter here witness history in the making, because I truly believe it's such a big barrier, you know, that's the walls coming down, and here's Peguis. I've actually watched the change over the last year, and it's been amazing. It's been a big switch for everyone, our workers, our, you know, my fellow co-workers, and to be able to assist the families and not dictate what's next, what do they need as a family, to be able to actually, you know, help our families with what they feel they need. So it's huge from where we've come from.
Instead of CFS being like taking kids away from their home, it's pushing them towards their home and to keep them home, and for CFS to help their family stay together. And that really does mean a lot, because our people, like Indigenous people, we were built on love. We're like meant to stay on our land. That's where we come from. Yeah, I would really like to come work with them and follow them, and I know they're doing a really good thing for our community and for our families, so yeah, it's awesome to see, and I would love to.
Those stigmas that are attached to that old system are real. You know, it's something that I believe strongly in my heart that needed to be changed to bring healing to our community at a community level. So, you know, the significance of what we did today, what Peguis CFS did today is, you know, a huge leap forward. You know, with this new legislation being put in place, you know, we're giving the opportunity to build those people up rather than break them down. We're, I guess, in a sense, rekindling that fire that burns inside each and every one of us, you know. And sometimes those vulnerable people that are involved in the system, that's all they need. That's all they need to succeed in life, is that little bit of hope, maybe, you know. And if we can provide that, then by all means, it's something positive, right?
Well, I think the process that we've participated in had its ups and downs, obviously, but I think the end goal, in terms of what was achieved, was something that we were definitely aiming for, and I think we've met that objective. So this gives us the tools and the resources to conduct that good work for our community and be that support and walk with and walk along our families if they need that healing support. So it allows us to be those helpers for that family. So we're satisfied with the process in terms of outcomes. Well, with the resources we have freedom. The authority comes from our inherent rights, and it's given to us from Chief and Council, but we're also going to be guided by our elders as well in terms of giving us direction so that we do that work in a good way. So we need to keep those teachings in mind from our elders and from our ancestors so that we do this good work, but also the fact that we have that ability now to do that good work. We're no longer mandated by the province for the past year, which means that we can do our work in our way according to our traditions and according to our own legal systems, not the colonial or settler government's legal regime, but through our own legal systems. So that's kind of, you know, the heart of the process, is making sure we do this according to our laws, according to our customs, so that our families and our children know who they are and where they're going. And with doing that work in a good way, that also means that level of accountability goes back to our community members and our elders, so that there's a common understanding of what has been achieved and what needs to be achieved. So we're confident in terms of the process, as long as we do it in a good way.
I hear the grandmothers, I hear the grandfathers, the ones that have gone, that have passed. They're celebrating in the spirit world. They're dancing for the ones that are here. And, you know, I honor them for standing with us all and picking us up when we fell. And we fell many times to get to where we're at. And it was never enough for our partners in terms of the work that we did. But, you know, we didn't give up. And as I shared earlier today, you know, our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our ancestors, they gave up everything just for our survival. They gave away their bundles. They gave away their language just so that they could give us the gift of life, so that we would be on our journey. At any point of time, there would be that moment that we would have, and that moment we had today. You know, it was that moment. It was everybody coming, you know, from the past, the present, and in the future coming, you know, to clear our path. And it's our responsibility to reclaim who we are, to begin that healing journey. And that's where we start tomorrow. And it is a difficult journey, but, you know, it's for our children. You know, as a grandmother, I could only imagine what my grandmother wanted for me. You know, I could only imagine the great love that she had. And my great-grandmother, I could only imagine the love that they had. And that's what's really pulled us through to where we're at today. And today symbolizes, as difficult as that road was, it symbolizes the relentless work that we've done, the relentless fight that we've had to fight to get to where we're at. You know, and you cannot be selfish in this work when you're devoting your life to the people. So I thank Jimanitu, I thank the grandmothers and the grandfathers in the past, in the present, and the ones to come for trusting us. As we ask for that trust, we have to give that trust as well.